What's up, Nick? Oh, man. Thank you, Lisa. Hey, Tula. Alright, let's try this. Oh, dude, I don't know if I can make it through. I'm gonna try, man. Gorilla Glue's the one with the seeds. Alright. Just gonna get right into this, guys. I feel so bad right now. I feel like I'm on the verge of throwing up right now. Oh my god. Okay, cheers, guys. To your health. You got electrolytes? No, but Tula, that's a great idea. I'll ask her to bring some. I don't want to smoke too much, you know. I'm not smoking to get high. I'm smoking for strictly medicinal reasons. That's why I'm not blowing smoke rings. Yo! What's up, Dave Campione? Biggie. What's up there, Rookie Kid? My God, Rookie Kid. What's up, buddy? If you guys want to click on an ad every once in a while on Rumble, I greatly appreciate that. I don't even know what I just saw. Stickermule.com. I don't even know what I just watched. I know a quiet advertisement, but it was funny as shit. This guy walked up to a Coke machine. It was like $1.50, $1.25, but the machine next to him said $1. So he put his dollar in the machine that said $1, and he got whisked away to this fantasy land where this half man, half fucking goat. I don't know, man. It's a cartoon world, and then all of a sudden he came back out and he had these stickers in his hand. Hey, Crisby. I'm so glad to see Rookie Kid here, man. It's bringing back old memories of the chat. Solar Python. I don't look so good. No, I've got... Hey, Solar Python, I hope you decide to stay and watch. Spy Die. Spidey Wyatt. What's up, Spidey Wyatt? I hope all of you stayed. Callie for 420, what's up? It's telling me that there's 0 people watching for whatever stupid reason. I don't know why it's doing that on Instagram. It says 0 people are watching. All these people said hello. So if you're watching on IG, you want to come on over to Rumble, I'm at Nay's Garden on Rumble. You get the full screen experience. I hope you feel better. Ken, I already feel better. Ken Phillips, thank you, man. I already feel better. I mean, when I started the show, bro, I was not doing well. And I am almost positive I have the stomach flu, man. Out of nowhere. I haven't been around any people. Totally isolated. You know? God bless America. I feel 90% better. Hey, Karen. Oh my God, I feel so much better. I mean, I don't feel like ranting and raving and jumping around and getting crazy and spending a bunch of energy. No, I've got the stomach flu. I'm sick. But I'm here to tell you, man, that cannabis, you know, I got up out of bed. My mom's like, "You're out of bed already?" She's like, "That was a fast recovery." I'm like, "I'm not recovering." I'm like, "I'm gonna go smoke," and she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it makes it's an anti-nausea." And she's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, it'll make my nausea go away. It really does." Did I eat something? I had half of a blueberry muffin this morning and a cup of coffee, but I can't find my coffee mug. Hey, bees. What's up, baby bees? Baby bees. I love you, bees. You're so cute. When I click on your stream on Rumble, it plays 3 ads in a row and then starts the show from the beginning. Dude, what is going on with Rumble, man? God, why can't they fix their shit? And I must say, having free speech there is really worth all the glitches. It really is. The title of your of your show is so true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, man. Yeah, that's weird, man. It's too bad. Rumble's just if they don't get some good software engineers over there and fix their shit, I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of huge people over there with huge followings, so I guess they don't really have to worry about it. Thanks, Nick. I hope so too, buddy. Yeah. I saw that, Andrew. I saw that. Did I get your message over on Twitter? Yeah, I responded to it. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Heh. Where's my coffee mug, dude? I'm too tired to look for it. It was in the sink, man.
It was over here. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You're fine. You're fine. She put my coffee in the sink. No, I'm not done. I need my coffee. Where's my coffee? It's a very scary thing when you separate a man and his coffee. You're fine. You're the new gal, so it's okay.
My name is Maya.
It's nice to meet you. I'm Ben. Where's Harley? Good morning, Steve. God, now I had that sip of coffee, I feel so much better. Oh my God. Need a little coffee, a little cannabis. Kick this stomach flu right in its ass. You guys are going to have to float the show for me, guys. You realize I'm sick. I need you guys to talk in the chat. Please help me out. Yeah, I did share some stuff on Twitter, and I want to go over some of it. One of the guys I follow on Twitter, he got a notice from Twitter, so it says X in the notice, and I go, only cucks call it X. He's like, that wasn't me, that was from the notice that Twitter sent me. But he called all of his followers assholes, so then after I respond, I go, yeah, I noticed that after I posted it, but, and I put it in quotes, asshole, so I didn't delete it. He preemptively called me an asshole. What do you want to talk about? I'll tell you here in a second. I'm going to look it up. I've got my Twitter feed. If you guys would go to my Twitter feed, you'd be able to bring these topics up for me. If you would just go to my Twitter feed and read it in the morning, went through morning paper, whatever it is you do in the morning, pull up your Twitter feed, go through my Twitter feed at Nay's Garden, read my tweets, my replies, all that stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't mind talking about Bill O'Reilly. I think we should cover that again. I put up a hilarious picture of my dog posting on social media. Those of you that follow the Nay's Garden on Twitter, you got to see that and probably laughed your ass off at it. This other guy, he puts up a video of a university, supposedly, of the University of Palestine in Gaza City. Now, I don't know what building this is, and I don't know who this man is, and you know what? I'm not even going to show you the video because I don't know if it's misinformation or not. You know why? Because that guy muzzles everybody that sees that video that wants to ask him a question about it and respond to it. He wants me to care about something that I can't ask questions about, to verify if it's true, to verify that indeed was a university. That's exactly how you're going to lose somebody. You don't muzzle people because they have questions about your stupid narrative. So that's not how you win people over. I'm going to scroll right past that. I actually would have covered that had I been able to ask a question or two. And I guess that's it. Really, let me look at my replies. I really don't have much to say, do I? So after Ron DeSantis didn't do as good in Iowa as was expected, another super PAC called Never Back Down, the one that was supporting Ron DeSantis, right? They just threw their support behind Donald Trump. After that little thing, hilarious. So I guess they backed down. God, it's so ironic. Oh, and the irony. The Bill O'Reilly thing. This girl on Twitter said she blocks people because, if I don't like the flag they're flying on their profile, I insta-block them. And she had flags on her profile, so I blocked her. And I go, I blocked you because I don't like any flag. Fuck your flag. Fuck all flags. Taught her a quick lesson. Nikki Haley saying we've never been a racist country. And Tim Black does a great response to that. We could watch that, actually. That would be good. He gets the first, he gives 5 reasons why it is a racist country, and he gets the first reason wrong. Completely. But the other 4 are perfectly good. So I think it's worth watching. Yes, America is a racist country. It was founded on racism. It's always been racist. We've got systemic racism built into the system. There's still plenty of examples of racism going on to this very day. And Tim gives some really good ones. And I think it's worth watching. So anybody out there who would say that, it's not a racist country can shut the fuck up. Believe forever that a little cannabis helps a good old-fashioned bellyache. Bro, it's true, Deer Slayer. It really is true. I mean, if you look it up, if you just look up anti-nausea cannabis, there's plenty of studies that prove, it was very popular for cancer patients to be given cannabis when they're having radiation therapy because of the nausea. Now, why is it okay for a cancer patient and not okay for me? Just, Remember that? Okay, yes. Good morning. Okay, it could be any. Okay, cool. Your podcast studio pic looks like a tree fort. High tech built in. Thank you, Tula. Steve says, sounds like propaganda. I see Beazle. I just watch your first bong rip every video. Curtis Therrett. You're really old now. First bong rip ever video? Curtis Therrett. No medical cannabis in Iowa? Well, all cannabis is medical. So yeah, there's medical cannabis there. You're talking about laws and legalities, but there should be no law regarding cannabis and everyone should have access. I know I'm being a little bitch. Sorry, Deer Slayer. Sorry for acting a little bitch. Don't get me started. Here, I want you guys to just watch this Tim Black video with me. Tim Black, friend of the show, personal friend of mine, someone who helped to change my life and it maybe changed the path, the course that I was on.
Is a racist country. But
he says Nikki Haley doesn't believe that America is a racist country.
Nikki Haley doesn't believe that America is a racist country.
But listen to what Joy Reid said of the reason why you lost last night, or came in third. Listen.
The elephant in the room, she's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant.
Smoking for your health. Cheers, everybody.
I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal to white people.
Wow. Do you agree with her interpretation of the results?
I want to stop for 1 second. Yes, Ron DeSantis is a racist piece of shit. He absolutely is. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't like anybody. He is a piece of human garbage. But he's not putting out there that he's the white man alternative to Nikki Haley. And for Joy Reid to make it sound like that's his message, that makes her the fucking stupid bitch here, doesn't it? Joy Reid's an idiot. And once again, when you lie to people, you lose people.
I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal to white people.
No, it's not. And she's a fucking lying cunt. Okay, she's a lying cunt fucking bitch. And you should never listen to a word she fucking says. There's a million things you can attack Ron DeSantis on. But don't just make shit up. Don't pull it out of your fucking ass and try to think that, oh, you know, if I just make some more shit up about Ron DeSantis, we can win more hearts and minds. No, you lose people like that, you fucking idiot. That's how you lose people. You don't watch her much? You should watch her never. When she comes on, you should change the station, bro. And once again, you're going to have to show me Ron DeSantis saying he's the white guy over Nikki DeSantis, who's a woman of color. Nikki Haley, who's a woman of color. DeSantis says, I'm the white guy, so you got to vote for me. That's really? Because I never heard you fucking say that. I pay very close attention to what Ron DeSantis says because he's a fucking monster and he needs to be watched. But I've watched him so closely. The one thing you can't catch him on is claiming that he's a white guy and that qualifies him more than the other person. He's never said those words. So this stupid fucking bitch right here just ruins it for everybody. Shut up, Joy Reid. You're a fucking idiot. Nobody wants to hear anything you have to say. All right, so I digress, and I want you to hear this dumb bitch say that again. I want you to hear her fucking lie out of her fucking mouth hole.
With Donald Trump still around, I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal to white people.
You're a fucking liar. You're flat out a liar, and you get on the news, and you get millions of people watching you, and people love you and believe you, and you sit there and just lie out your mouth hole. You're a dirty bitch. Fuck you.
Wow. Do you agree with her interpretation of the results?
First of all,
No, Nikki, you dumb bitch. The first answer you said should have been no. Why has everyone got to fucking do a preemptive lead-in to whatever their response is going to be and act like they're weaving some sort of a fucking story? The answer is no. That's all you had to say, but you're a politician and you don't know how to answer with just a yes or a no. Fuck you. Fuck all these morons. Now, here's a good thing. Watch the expression on his face as he does this and realizes she ain't helping herself.
Joy Reid lives in a different America than I do. Yes, I'm a brown girl that grew up in a small rural town in South Carolina who became the first female minority governor in history.
Well, that's not true, dear Slayer. They're not the biggest racists alive. You've totally got that wrong. I would say a fucking pig that shoots an unarmed black kid in the street is more racist? Wouldn't you? Some white pig that shoots an unarmed black man in the street that wasn't being violent, wouldn't you say that person is more racist? You know, someone that actually commits murder over their racism? Come on, Deer Slayer, you can do better. You can do better. I can find way more racists. You know, you want to talk about racists? Let's talk about Nick Fuentes, man. You want to talk about racists? Let's talk about fucking that fucking cunt job fucking Tucker Carlson, who's a racist motherfucker. What about Joe Biden? He doesn't want his kids growing up in an urban jungle. That's racist as fuck. So, you know, the Rev and Joy Ann Reid, yeah, they're racist. They're definitely racist. But on the level of Joe Biden, nowhere near, man. He became president of the United States so he could inflict his racism on everybody. Fuck that guy. Just saying on TV. No, there's more racist. Man, watch Fox News. Everyone on Fox News. Watch everyone on OAN. Watch everyone on Newsmax. All of them racists, dude. You pick two people on the left, man, it sounds like the right's way more racist. Huh, you see how that worked out for you, bro? Dude, I mean, the right has a problem with the inclusiveness that the left has. They want to include, you know, trans people and drag queens and all that shit, and that's the problem the right has. It plays right into their racism, man. They hate people that are different than them.
UN ambassador, and who is now running for president. If that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. You can sit there and give me all the reasons why you think I can't do this. I will continue to defy everybody on why we can do this, and we will get it done.
Are you a racist party? Are you involved in a racist party?
No. We're not a racist country, Brian. We've never been a racist country. Our goal is to make sure that today is better than yesterday.
Nikki Haley's wrong. Not only am I going to prove that she's wrong, I'm going to use her own words to prove that she's wrong. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 instances that prove that Nikki is
it's funny.
Not telling the truth.
It's funny. He said 4, and it's true. He does only have 4, because the first one isn't factual. It's wrong. And we'll get to that. We'll blow that one out of the water first, and then we'll let Tim do his thing, and he does a great job.
And for number 5, I'm going to use one of her running mates as an example.
It's good.
And if
actually,
you stick around
5's good.
to the end, I'm going to prove to you how the Democrats and the Republicans get it so wrong on race.
Right.
This is going to be fun.
Number 1. Now, this one's wrong.
Nikki Haley ain't even Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's real name is Nimrata.
No. Nikki Haley is Nikki Haley. It's Nimrata Nikki Haley. So, you've got that wrong, and he doesn't understand her name. But it literally is her whole name, and he's got it wrong. Nikki is part of her real name.
Nimrata Nikki Randhawa Haley.
Do you guys see that?
Why not use your first name?
Dude. It's literally on the screen, bro. There's her name. Nimrata Nikki Randhawa Haley. Her name is Nikki. You know, it's like, I go by a nickname, Nay, and everyone's like, yeah, that's who he is. He goes by that name, blah, blah, blah. But it's not in my real name. Nikki's nickname is in her real name. It's right there. Nimrata Nikki. So she could be known as whatever she wants to in that name and legitimately not be making any excuses or whatever. But listen to how Tim paints this. And not to attack Tim. He's just wrong. That's all. And I love the guy. You know, he probably hates me by now, but because of shit like this. But I'm going to give him full credit after this, number 1.
And how Haley. Why not use your first name? We all know the reason why.
No. You don't know the reason why, Tim, and you didn't research this good enough. And I know that you showed an image of you researching it with the clock hands going behind you because you spent hours and hours and hours and hours researching this. But I think you kind of dropped the ball on number 1 because I researched it too, and it was fact-checked, and it was debunked by none other than the Associated Press that debunked what you're about to say about her changing her name.
Right. Or at least I could take a guess. Because America's not racist, right? It says here that Nikki Haley was born Nimrata Nikki Randhawa at the Bamberg County Hospital.
He says it again. She was born Nikki. It's her fucking name. She didn't change her name. Okay, so this is the point I'm making. She didn't change her name. She goes by Nikki. It's more comfortable for her. You know, your name might be Timothy. Who the fuck calls you Timothy, Tim? Who the fuck calls you Timothy, bro? Nobody. I bet that's your real name. Am I right? Am I right? Oh, or maybe Tim's your middle name, bro. It's easier to say. Nikki is easier to say than Nimrata. You know?
Hospital in Bamberg.
And if I were you, I would go back to when little Nikki was 6, 7, 8 years old and just see if her friends were calling her Nikki back then. They probably were.
South Carolina to immigrants, Sikh parents from Amritsar, Punjab, India. Now, Nikki may try to maintain that this does not show that America's racist.
It doesn't.
Breaking news, folks, breaking news. Donald Trump just put out a post on Truth Social, you know, his social app, where he called Nikki Haley by her real name.
Yes. Now you get into the area where you are demonstrating true racism, Tim, and I give you credit on this part of number one. You're 100% correct. Donald Trump is blowing his dog whistle when he uses names like Barack Hussein Obama or Namrata Nikki Haley. He does this as a dog whistle because, yes, he is a racist, and he's dog whistling to all of his racist followers. So, on that part of the point, you would be correct, Tim, and I will give you an ovation and tell you that I love you, bro, because you're fucking awesome. But Nikki Haley never changed her name, and you should retract that because you made it number one on your video. You should retract it just for your audience, keeping it real, bro. And I'll show you the AP. You literally debunked yourself, bro, twice in this video. You said she was born with the name Nikki, and then you said she changed her name. Come on, buddy.
Before that, he misspelt it, but Trump called her Nimrata instead of Nimrata. But
like a Nimrod.
I wonder why he did that.
Because, well, he's playing for two things. Number one, he gives everyone a name. Okay, and Nimrod is going to be her name, and he should just go with Nimrod. He should just call her Nimrod, and that would be hilarious, and that's one of the things people love about Donald Trump. He should go with the Nimrod, and yes, and that will also play into the racism of a lot of his racist constituents. Because a lot of people that love Donald Trump are racists. A lot of them are racists. And not calling all of you Trump supporters racists. But you might be. And it might be something you should look at. Come on, Tim. What's up? Close some windows here.
It wouldn't have anything to do with race now, would it, Nikki? I mean, Nimrata. I told you this was going to be fun. I should have also told you it's going to be really easy. Number two.
Now. Okay. Not so easy, Tim, because you didn't do your research on the first part of that. She didn't change her name. But 2, 3, 4, and 5, man, knocked out of the park. Tim Black. Here we go.
Nikki Haley's father was a biology professor at Voorhees College in Denmark, South Carolina. Now, Voorhees College is a historically black college. In 1904, the school's name was changed to the Voorhees Institute for Colored Youth. Kind of hard to get it wrong that it was a black school for black kids. Nikki Haley can pretend that she doesn't know that America's racist, but it's going to be hard to pretend that you don't understand why your dad taught at an HBCU or why America has HBCUs. It's because America's racist. And
yes.
Black students weren't allowed to go to school with white students.
There you go.
Because white people thought black people were inferior, and they didn't want black people in school with their kids. And that, folks, is racism.
Yes, that, folks, is racism. This country was built on racism and still runs on it to this very day. The most racist man I've ever met, Tim Black. Tim Black might have a problem with white folks. Doesn't matter. When he's making sense, he's making sense.
Dad taught at a school, so she had to know that. Number three. For this one, let's use Nikki Haley's own words. In the same video where she says America has never been racist, she points out times that America was racist.
It's hilarious.
First of all,
listen, he's going to chime a little bell every time she says something that alludes to the fact that, yes, America is racist. And it does. He nails this so good. So pay attention to everything she says and listen for the ding after everything she says that leads to the fact that, yes, she was definitely witness to racism in her own life. Here we go.
Joy Reid lives in a different America than I do.
Ding, right?
Yes, I'm a brown girl that grew up in a small rural town in South Carolina who became the first female minority governor in history.
Ding, right?
We're not a racist country, Brian. We've never been a racist country. Our goal is to make sure that today is better than yesterday.
Ding.
Are we perfect? No.
Why does today have to be better than yesterday? You just said it wasn't bad yesterday. You said there was no racism. You said it's not a racist country. All of a sudden it has to be better. What's better for what? Oh, to overcome the racism that you claim doesn't exist, but it's got to be better. You guys catch that, right? She's completely just ironically laying down all of the facts that prove her wrong. And and Tim does a great job here. Listen. He keeps going. The Chinese are just slow driving white people, folks. That's what Tim says. Oh, man. Being a podcaster is rough, bro. I got to tell you. You got to watch every word you say out here, man. Somebody's going to come back and get you. Billy's like, I know. I lived it. Why is this?
But our goal is to always make sure we try and be more perfect every day that we can.
Ding.
I know. I faced racism when I was growing up.
Ding.
Kilmeade's face says it all. Look at him.
Look at Kilmeade. Look at his face.
He's like, Jesus Christ, lady. Stop talking.
What are you doing?
Shut up.
He's like, I know I'm a bought off numbnut, but even I know that you are just fucking up right now. God, I was trying to help you, woman.
I won't be able to save you.
But I can tell you, today is a lot better than it was then.
Deer Slayer is saying Nimrod is a globalist. Dude, globalism is a good thing, Deer Slayer. You and I should talk about that, okay? All right, here. Let's talk about it. GLOBALISMDEF. You could have done this too, bro. Anybody can do this before you start mouthing off. Globalism. The operation or planning of economic and foreign policy on a global basis. And it's used in a sentence, and this sentence is very interesting. It says, millions have lost jobs to the new globalism. It's a great sentence. So that's the way you look at globalism. Like it's bad because it takes your jobs away from you here in the United States. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you don't like about globalism? Or what aspect of globalism don't you like? Let me know. Like, here's a globalist idea. Let's pass legislation around the whole planet that says you shouldn't kill people. Does that sound like a bad thing? Let's pass legislation around the whole world that says all countries should work together to help each other. Does that sound like a bad thing? Let's pass, I could keep going and going, and I'm not gonna. So you tell me what's bad about globalism, since Nimrod's a globalist, and that must be bad because you say it like, you know, you called her Nimrod. So I'm assuming it sounds good. What is it about globalism that you don't like, Deer Slayer? Which aspect of globalism don't you like? The taking Americans' jobs away from them because we ship jobs over to other countries like Mexico and China, Taiwan, India, and we do manufacturing in other countries. That's part of globalism, right? I mean, with globalism, we have social media that allows us to get on Facebook and talk to someone in another country that we may or may not be friends with. But it gives us the opportunity to have a conversation with someone in another country. What do you think about that? Like, is there anybody here watching right now that's not in the United States of America? Let me know. If you're not in the United States of America, let me know in the chat. Just a little money for our country. See, that's the way Republicans want you to look at globalism. That's the way they wanted you to look at Barack Obama. And that's the way they want you to look at Nikki Haley, because she's worked with other countries. Because she tried to become friends with the Chinese. You know? Because she brought commerce in via the Chinese. And now she's evil because she's doing work with someone you consider to be our enemy. You know, the people who are buying our debt off. Actually, it's Japan and China, I believe, are handling most of our debt now. You know, the Chinese who are calling for an end to the genocide because they're so evil. And we're funding the genocide because we're the good guys. We could stand to use a little globalism. We could stand to use a little more international influence, man. Especially when it comes to making peace. Think of all of the resources that every country on the planet pours into war, which is just so we can fight other countries and fight each other. Think of that waste, Deer Slayer. If we had globalism and it was working, we could stop buying weapons. We could stop making rockets. We could stop manufacturing tanks. Does that sound sad for you because you know somebody that works in the fucking arms industry and they're going to lose a job? Fuck them. You know what? They should find a job where they're not making things that kill people. These are just some globalist thoughts, bro. But for you to have that wall up and a bubble so that you're not even going to, you're just going to use it as some kind of an attack on someone without even understanding it. I know you're a Constitution conservative. That doesn't mean shit to me, bro. It doesn't mean anything to me. Everybody has the ability to learn, grow, and change. Everybody. And whatever the fuck you think you are, I can make you better. I can make you a better person. I can make you more accepting. I can make you happier to be in this world. Yeah, exactly. We need to come together. Now you're making sense. And that's globalism is part of that, man. Do you know that globalism, Facebook being in multiple countries, Amazon being in multiple countries, Twitter being in multiple countries, that's part of globalism. The internet, that's part of globalism. How much do you like the internet? How much do you like the fact that you can get on the internet and talk to somebody in another country, maybe a neighboring country or someplace on the other side of the world? Man, I sound like Chip Douglas from The Cable Guy. People from all over the planet speaking to each other Interconnecting and networking. Boats. I'm 65. No, bro. My mom is 81 or 82. You can't say it's hard to change when you're only 65. And I can see my mom change on a lot of things. I mean, there's some things that I'm still chipping away at. Everyone's a crack addict. Trump had the most Chinese donors. Demonstration of globalism. Yeah, New World Order is globalism, yes. Man, I love when I can't keep up with the chat. Thank you, guys. Anyway, this was an interesting aside that we took. This is not a long video. Let's go ahead and let Tim finish because he's good. He's really good here.
This is too easy. I mean, this is too easy. Number 4. In this clip, once again, we got Nikki Haley herself describing a time in which America was very racist towards her. I don't know how she forgets this. I mean, she just told this story this year.
Somebody came to my mom and said, you should put your girls in. And so my parents asked us, and
actually, Deer Slayer, you were married to a human. Your neighbors are human and human. You have a safe hood. Quit trying to put everybody in a group, man. That's what society does to you. That's what indoctrination has done to you. You have to put everyone in a group, even your own wife or ex-wife. But come on, bro. Look at what you just typed. Just say human, man. You know, you're married to a wife. You've got neighbors. They're people. You know?
my sister and I were like, yeah, we'll do that. So they put us in the pageant, and it was at a time where they had a white queen and a black queen. And so they ended up going to my parents and said, we have to disqualify your girls. And they said, why? And they said, well, you know, we can't put them on the white side or the whites will be mad. And if we put them on the black side, the blacks will be mad. And so we don't have a place for them. And so they disqualified us. And
how racist.
My mom said, well, you know, Nikki's really been working on her song. Can she at least sing her song? Because there was a talent component to it. And they said, yes, she can sing her song. The song, I'm not kidding you, it was This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land. I mean, you can't make that up.
Racist.
I'm beginning to think that Joe Biden isn't the only person running for president.
Racism.
Shouldn't be running for president.
Right? Or are you just figuring that out, Tim?
Number 5.
I knew that when she called herself Republican.
Now, number 5 is different. It's a running mate. See, in Iowa, Vivek Ramaswamy spent a whole lot of money. Millions and millions of dollars. He spent all of his political capital in Iowa to try to win Iowa. That was his only chance. And his wife talked to some people in Iowa to find out why they weren't supporting him. And the answer is the epitome of racism.
Dude, this is the most telling thing that any of you are ever going to see to prove to you how racist Republicans are. Listen to what these two Iowans say about why people aren't going to support Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I'm telling you, the guy's a fucking dumb cunt. He's a dumb fucking cunt bitch. I wouldn't vote for him just based on the fact that he's a dumb fucking cunt bitch. I've heard him speak. He speaks like a dumb cunt bitch. I fucking hate him just based on how I view a fellow human being. That's why I don't like him. It's got nothing to do with the color of his skin, where he's from, or whatever. I heard him open up his fat fucking mouth, and all I wanted to do was fucking take his hair, which looks like a fucking Q-tip, and shove it in his fucking mouth so he'd stop fucking talking. That's how I feel about that guy, right? At the same time, it's got nothing to do with the color of his skin or any of that. I just think he's a douchebag. He's a self-loathing moron. He's a racist, right? This is hurtful. And it's not the reason why I wouldn't vote for him. But what you're about to hear from these good old Americans, they look like the pitchfork standing old couple in front of the house painting, don't they, these two? You know, grandma and grandpa standing there in front of their farmhouse. You know, Mr. and Mrs. America, mid-section America, right there. Here's a slice of America for you guys. This is Vivek Ramaswamy's wife. And she wants to know what people are saying about why they wouldn't support her husband.
What do people say gives them, like, oh, I can't vote for him because what are the things that they tell you? What answers can I help you provide? Or just
Look at the long pause here, guys. They know the answer, but they're literally sitting there with Vivek Ramaswamy's wife. And they have to look at her and say, it's because of the color of y'all's skin.
Well, the only one I had, and I couldn't even remember who said that to me, but they mentioned it's dark skin, you know, and they think Muslim right away. Yeah. So I kind of set them straight on that, whether they believe it or thought I was covering for it. I don't know, but I'm not trying to explain.
Sure, not much we can do about that one.
Well, yeah, you know.
The color of your skin, because it brings up, you know, feelings that you're Muslim.
You know, and they think Muslim right away. Yeah.
They think Muslim, right? These people, probably influenced by Donald Trump when he was trying to do his whole Muslim ban. I put it in quotes because it wasn't a Muslim ban, but it put that idea in their friends' heads to the point where she had no other answer for this woman except it's the color of your skin. And while it's hurtful, I couldn't think of a more fitting response for Vivek Ramaswamy and his wife to hear that. After thinking that they could come up in the Republican, racist fucking Republican Party and try to take it over. And pretend, and that's this whole pretend thing, like they don't know the facts that this country's racist and people don't like you because of the color of your skin. You know, you would have had a better chance doing that on the Democrat side like Barack Obama did. If Vivek Ramaswamy ran as a Democrat, he would have had a better chance. He would have had more support. Guaranteed. Even with his policies. All he had to do was change parties, man. But people are in such denial about what's going on, and it's not just Vivek Ramaswamy, but that's a perfect example. Mr. fucking billionaire running for president, acting like his shit don't stink, pretending like he, you know, everything's fine, like Nikki Haley does. Oh, it wasn't, the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. There's no racism in this country. You know, except for the racism that I experienced when I was a child, says Nikki. And except for the racism that Vivek Ramaswamy's wife experienced while he's running for president of the United States on the Republican ticket. And I say this. Feels good, man. It feels good that Vivek Ramaswamy has to learn this hard lesson because he acted like, you know, he didn't know and he was going to fucking take over and blah, 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 and there's no racism. No, I love it when reality has to fucking slap you in your fucking face. And that's exactly what just happened to the Ramaswamys. They got slapped in the face by reality, and there's no getting out of it. There's no denying it. This country hates you based on the color of your skin because it's systemically racist. That's it. And you can sit there and act like, well, I got to run for president. I proved that the American dream is a reality and blah, blah, blah. No, it's really not. You're just eye candy for the Republicans so they can feel good about themselves. Oh, we didn't make a big deal when the brown man ran and the brown woman ran. We didn't make a big deal about them. We're not racists. Well, you know, either one of them I'm sure would have made a much better leader than Donald Trump. But you were too busy living in your racism to fucking see that. And you know, welcome to fascism, I guess. You know, it's
So I kind of set them straight.
Let's let Tim conclude.
I don't know, but I'm not trying to explain.
Sure, not much we can do about that one.
Well, yeah, you know.
So yeah, I could have went with stuff that was historical, cop shootings, medical malpractice issues, driving while black, walking while black.
Yes. All evidence that this country is fucking racist, and he didn't bring up any of it until just now. All evidence, man. And he's got it all right there in a list. He's like, well, I could have brought this up, that up, this up, that up. But you know what? All I had to do was just show you shit from the last 2 weeks to show you that this, not only is this country racist, it's still racist. You know, and that's what he did. He did a great job with this video. Great job, Tim. Wish I could do shit like this.
I could have used all these instances, right? I could have used hate crime stuff, statistics, numbers, facts, data, all this stuff. I could have just used it. But I felt it was more real if we used actual things out of Nikki Haley's mouth, things that she experienced, stories she told, that shows that, yeah, America's racist. See, America has racism in it, just like an apple pie has apples in it. That's why we call it an apple pie. And that's why we call America racist. There's other things in an apple pie besides apples. There's sugar, there's cinnamon, you know,
Making
there's flour.
sense. Yes.
Same thing with America.
Exactly.
There's greed, there's corruption, there's love, there's humor.
There's baseball.
There's also racism.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, last but not least, I want to make sure people understand that I'm not just saying this is about the Republicans.
Bonus.
Folks, the Democrats and Republicans play this game with race. Remember, always remember, Kamala Harris said this.
I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country.
About the
It
history.
sounds almost exactly like what Nikki Haley said. And when Kamala said that, she was backing up Joe Biden, who made a similar statement.
America is not a racist country.
When I think about it, I think we all would agree that while it is part of our past and we see vestiges of it today, we should also be committed collectively to not letting it define the future of our country.
So whether it's Republicans or Democrats, they all play games with race. Democrats, they'll say America's racist, but they won't do anything to try to fix it. But they want to get votes because, hey, we admit America's racist. And Republicans deny that there's racism. And that's the way they get votes, because their base or most of their supporters don't believe that racism is a thing. Unless you're talking about discriminating against white men. Then it's racist to them. That's the only racism they believe in. There are people that are calling out Nikki Haley who don't have the guts or didn't have the guts to call out Kamala Harris or Joe Biden when they said almost exactly the same thing. And that's not racist. It's just hypocritical. Very hypocritical. For TBTV, I'm Tim Black, and this has been another edition of Calling It Out with Tim Black. Oh, Nimrata.
The more Republicans saw him, the less they liked him. We got to watch this.
We have had the field shrink yet again tonight. Vivek Ramaswamy will never again grace our television screens as a presidential candidate. David Plouffe, are you shocked with the Trump endorsement that apparently
and then he went
his bowing out?
Then Ramaswamy immediately goes and endorses Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Hoping for that VP slot.
His total number of votes must have been, what, 8,000, 10,000?
Something like that.
Think about that. All that time, going to all the counties twice, all the money. Remarkable.
Yeah, but the podcast. David. Yeah. He's going to have, he does have there's a podcast,
And he might have a Fox show in 2025, so yeah.
Well, only the best.
Yeah.
Only Ben Shapiro has a more annoying voice, so I guess there's a future if Ben can do it. He can do it.
I will say about him, I sometimes feel like I've totally lost my mind covering American politics, and Trump makes you feel all the time. There was one kind of little thing I was holding on to, which is that like the polling was very consistent. The more Republicans saw of him, the less they liked him. And I just felt like, okay, I'm just like,
not just me. It's not just me. It's what you're
crazy
saying.
here.
Yeah.
Like, my impression of this is the same as the median Republican voter.
The thing that was so amazing was, and the thing I will miss about Vivek Ramaswamy is the way and the special way that Nikki Haley despised. I feel like her red-hot
intense.
hatred
Yes.
of him was just, it was its own thing. It was fun to watch. It was entertaining, and I'll miss it.
But this idea that, Donald Trump didn't even try, he didn't even show up for the debates, that's not true. He might not have been in Iowa. He had a huge, well-organized machine in the state of Iowa, and he might not have participated in those debates, but in 2024, with political TV, broadcast TV, streaming TV, every social media outlet, he almost doesn't need to. So I feel like the Trump campaign is going to kind of want to flex here and say, like, everyone just came to us no matter what. They were working hard. And while he goes to all these trials, why is he going there? Because all our...
She's so much right now making a non-point. In fact, she's hurting herself right now. This is so dumb. What she's literally saying is, Trump did a really good job of promoting himself and winning. And he did it intentionally. And he's going to come out and say, yeah, they all just came to us. They love me. Who fucking cares how he did it? She's saying he did it. And she's a fucking idiot for acting like she's got some kind of a fucking moment here where she's throwing Trump under the bus. Dude, you're praising him. If anything, you're fucking licking his taint right now. And he's loving it. If Trump heard this, he'd be like, yeah, we did have our machine fucking rocking in Iowa. It's exactly what we planned for. We sent all those people out there. We hired all these agencies. We did all of this promoting on the internet and on television. We knew exactly what we were doing to get what we wanted. They had every fucking county in that goddamn state except for one. Every fucking county. The whole goddamn thing was red. There's this one little yellow thing, pink. Nikki got this one thing, pink. And that was it. And it was only by one vote, that county, that she won. Everything else was all Trump, man. And for her to be pointing this out and acting like it's some kind of a slight against Donald Trump, it's not only is it hilarious, I don't know who this stupid fucking bitch is, but now I know she's a stupid fucking bitch. She's not making any sense. Find a better point, you idiot.
TV cameras are there, and we're not at his rallies, but he's using them as stump speeches. So his whole, like, you all come to me, please. He takes every media opportunity he can, and there's a lot of
it. Will be interesting.
Are you going to cry about it? You sound like you're all butthurt over it.
I think we can assume that Donald Trump will not participate in it. We know that Vivek Ramaswamy will not be in it. It will presumably just be Haley and DeSantis again if both choose to participate. Is there the same percentage for each of them in participating heading into
Oh my God, did you all see just then? Rachel Maddow had a whole entire meltdown. Did you see that? You're all like, what? I know, right? That's what they say. That's what Jimmy Dore fans say about Rachel Maddow on Twitter when she just speaks. When she just says, oh my God, Rachel's having a meltdown. I get such a kick out of that. Because I hate Rachel Maddow. But like I said, why attack someone when, there's nothing to attack them on, and that makes you look like an idiot? You're going to attack her for just making sense? And saying that the Republican Party is leaning towards fascism? She was making sense. And you Republicans are definitely leaning towards fascism because you're a bunch of fascist-loving cunt motherfuckers. And like with Bill O'Reilly, it's going to come back and bite you in the dick too. Your little tiny dick. Whatever you got left of that little nub, fascism's going to come get the rest of it. Just like Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, and for some reason the Ron DeSantis campaign's not responding to Bill O'Reilly. Hey, Florida took our books off the shelves. Why isn't Ron DeSantis responding? We had you on my show. We promoted you. We love your fascist bitch ass.
Beginning, if they hadn't already, the presidential campaign of 4 years from now. I think they both know they're not getting this nomination. The question is, how do I exit this campaign? How do I build up capital with these voters who will never again in their lives get a chance to vote for Donald Trump? This is their last time. There won't be another Donald Trump candidacy.
I have so much to say about that. You can just stop it with another chance to vote.
Which is part of the ingratiation game they have been playing with these voters, because these are going to be the voters who decide the next Republican nomination 4 years from now.
But I mean, the challenge for Ron DeSantis, I could see Nikki Haley having a second life. She's been she's an ambassador to the UN. She can say she's been for Trump, against Trump. She sort of fudges her position. Ron DeSantis torched his state for this. He blew up his state. He put a 6-week abortion ban in place. He ran Republicans around Tallahassee like.
Whoa. That's not torching the state of Florida. She gets everything wrong, doesn't she? Now, look, I'm totally against that 6-week bullshit, whatever. But, you know, these evangelicals and these fucking moronic Catholics and Christians that live in this fucking state, they appreciate Ron DeSantis. They would totally ban abortion if they could. A lot of people in this state would completely ban abortion because fuck women. So, you know, Ron DeSantis didn't torch dick. If anything, he's fucking torched your fucking brain, and your stupid fake hairstyle is goddamn symbolism of your fucking head on fire.
His pets, and they are unhappy with him. He can't go back to Florida. There's no goodwill in Tallahassee for him.
What? Oh my God. Look, I hate Ron DeSantis as much as anyone. I hate him. Spit on Ron. Okay, I'll start the campaign right now. But at the same time, dude, my buddy lives down the corner, is one of my best friends I grew up with, and I love this guy. He calls him Uncle Ronnie, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? And my friend's not even political. So, you're a dumb bitch. Shut the fuck up. God, I hate you. Shut up. Shut up, Joy. God, I'm feeling better. The cannabis, man. The cannabis. Why does Opera Browser suck my...
Because he forced Republicans to take some
Cheers.
really ugly votes and went to war against Disney and went to war against the cruise industry and ruined the construction industry and ruined the agricultural industry and chased workers away. You could go on and on about the ways in which he's dismantled education and turned it into, you know, anti-LGBTQ mania, which is not great for tourism,
They love him here. They love Ron DeSantis here. My neighbor down the street loves Ron DeSantis.
Blackness, like all of the enemies that he's created. I'm not sure what he does between now and 2028 that could actually get him back on a path to run for president again, because what does he have to show for it? He's going to go back there are already people in Tallahassee trying to undo some of the laws that they passed for him.
If
Because they
Donald
realize
Trump
how
wins in
unfortunate.
2024,
That's like... That not a newsflash, Joyanne Reed. You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, of course they're trying to undo some of his legislation. You know, his legislation sucks my dick. But that's not going to stop people from supporting him and voting for him. And all of a sudden they're just going to stop liking Ron DeSantis. People in the state of Florida fucking love Ron DeSantis, man. I'm telling you. How do you think he became the governor? He became the fucking governor. You idiot. Damn, Billy, really? I don't know what to tell you, bro. I've never been in that situation. I'm the kind of guy that just gets fired, bro. I'm a firing type. My own father fired me. I'm pro-choice. As a man, I have no right to tell a woman what to do. Her body, her choice. Really? Well, if you support Republicans, dude, you're supporting the wrong party. Just saying. They've done nothing but take women's rights away from them. There's women suffering all over this country now because of Republican laws, bro, that wouldn't have to be suffering. But because people vote for Republicans, the women are suffering. And it sucks.
do we think there's going to...
And I know Joe Biden didn't do shit to help. But, you know, you voted Trump in, and Trump got and changed the Supreme Court, and they changed Roe v. Wade. So... I'm sorry that you know that you're pro-choice and you support the very people that take women's rights away from them, dear Slayer.
This might be the last one.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
Well, there's also just, you know, timing is, I mean, you know this better than anyone, right? Timing is everything in politics, and particularly in presidential politics. And this was like the great question of Barack Obama, freshman senator in, you know, sworn in 2005, convention speech in 2004. Obviously, he can't turn around and run for president a year and a half or 2 years later in 2007, and he did, and it turned out to be the right call. Chris Christie, you know, I think kind of missed the moment that he had. I think Ron DeSantis was too late to get in the race. Like, timing does matter.
It's the John McCain model. It's the one where you run in 2000, you come in second, and you get the nomination the next time. That's a play that people have run many, many times.
I think it's really interesting for Haley, though. So let's say 8 days from now she wins the New Hampshire primary. A big if. But if she does, she has to decide, is that it? Am I going to go meekly into the night? Or am I actually going to try and win this thing? And if she tries to win this thing, she's actually going to turn off even more Trump voters than she is today. So that's going to be fascinating to watch.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder too, man. I wonder what's going to happen with New Hampshire. Be worth watching.
Intellectual territory where few others dare.
Oh, shut up. I cannot stand this guy.
6 years ago, you
shut
related. I mean, there's sort of the near-term problem of just what humans do with increasingly powerful AI and how it amplifies the problem of misinformation and disinformation and just makes it harder and harder to make sense of reality together. And then there's just the longer term concern about what's called alignment with artificial general intelligence, where we build AI that is truly general and by definition superhuman in its competence and power. And then the question is, have we built it in such a way that is aligned in a durable way with our interests? And I mean, there's some people who just don't see this problem. They're kind of blind to it. When I'm in the presence of someone who doesn't share.
I mean, Billy, the reason I don't know what to tell you is because it's like you don't want to burn bridges, but you basically already have. It's really bad karma. And I'm not thinking on like a mystical level. I mean, just for you to do that to somebody and share that burden. You have to carry that burden that you did that to somebody, someone that needed someone to do a job, and maybe you've got bad feelings towards your company and your boss and you want them to suffer. But if you don't, I don't see the benefit of doing what you're doing. I mean, if you want my advice, I would say send in your resignation and apologize for not being more direct. If you're gone, bro. On your way out, at least you can help them by giving them a sooner opportunity to find somebody to fill your position, Goddamn Opera browser.
This intuition, they don't resonate to it. I just don't understand what they're doing or not doing with their minds in that moment. Let's say I'm wrong about that. Well, then it's just the other person's right, and so we just have fundamentally different intuitions about this particular point. And then the point is this: if you're imagining building true,
fuck them. I wouldn't even respond then. If you're pissed at them, bro, they're on their own. If they fucked you, they're on their own, bro. That's how I would be. I'm vindictive as fuck. Now that I've got all the facts. That's your goddamn, that's your goddamn flipping off the eagle. You're the little mouse on the mountain as the eagle's coming down with its talons like that, and you can at least do that on your way out, bro.
Artificial general intelligence that is super.
That's me,
and that is what everyone, whatever their intuitions, purports to be imagining here. I mean, there's people on both sides of the alignment debate. The people who think alignment's a real problem, and people who think it's a total fiction. But everyone, virtually everyone who's party to this conversation agrees that we will ultimately build artificial general intelligence that will be superhuman in its capacities. And there's very little you have to assume to be confident that we're going to do that. There's really just two assumptions. One is that intelligence is substrate independent, right? It doesn't have to be made of meat. It can be made in silico, right? And we've already proven that with narrow AI. I mean, we obviously have intelligent machines, and your calculator in your phone is better than you are at arithmetic, and that's some very narrow band of intelligence. So as we keep building intelligent machines on the assumption that there's nothing magical about having a computer made of meat, the only other thing you have to assume is that we will keep doing this. We will keep making progress. And eventually we will be in the presence of something more intelligent than we are. And that's not assuming Moore's law. It's not assuming exponential progress. We just have to keep going, right? And when you look at the reasons why we wouldn't keep going, those are all just terrifying, right? Because intelligence is so valuable, and we're so incentivized to have more of it, and every increment of it.
So he's literally telling you why we're fucked right now. That's what he's doing, because we can't stop trying to satisfy our curiosity. Man, oh, dude, it's like we're a monkey, dude, and we go up to a bee's nest, you know, and we hit it and nothing happens. We hit it a little harder. One bee comes out and lands on us and goes back in. We hit a little harder. A couple more bees come out. One of them stings you, and you're just like, eh. They go back in the nest. You hit a little harder. A couple more bees come out and sting. That's us, man. And we just cannot stop ourselves. That's humanity summed up right there, man. We just can't stop ourselves from our own curiosity, from our own greed and our own ignorance to stop doing the very thing that's going to come back and kill us. We all know it is. It's already been predicted plenty of times. The computers, we make them too far advanced and they come back and kill us. And all of the fucking idiots out there ignoring that, working in that industry day and night, taking the shit home with them. You know, making shit better and stronger and faster and smarter and smarter and smarter. All the little Vivek Ramaswamis out there, you know, that think that technology is the thing that, and fracking. I mean, we got to frack and we got to tech and AI and blah, blah, blah. Dude, all I can say is just like racism came back to bite him in his dick, you know, the AI and everything else that he promotes is going to do the exact same thing as well. You know, destroying the climate, you know, fracking, causing earthquakes. Oh, excuse me, I mean frack quakes. Hey, Megsy. File a complaint with the State Department of Labor. Steve running. Huh. They're still here vacuuming. I can hear a vacuum. I don't know where it's coming from. Dude, I feel so much better after smoking all that cannabis. I have a feeling this is not done with me. But right now I feel like it is. So that's good to feel like that. I'm almost feeling normal right now. Almost. I feel just a little swimmy. You guys got so quiet.
You are a neocon. You might fancy yourself to be a liberal, to be an intellectual, to be above that, but you are no different than a Christian fascist neocon.
If you don't support the Houthis, you are a Christian fascist neocon. Oh my God.
Oh God. Oh, Hassan. Please. See, that's all I needed to see, you fucking idiots. Whoever does this editing is an idiot, you know? Whoever edits these videos is an idiot. I literally see everything I came to see in the first few seconds, then click away to another video. You're welcome. Seriously, I just heard the whole goddamn gist of everything I wanted to know, and the fucking moronic editor for Destiny just puts, literally just lays everything out, for the first goddamn course. He gives you the goddamn, the chocolate mousse. And you're like, okay, well, I really only wanted the chocolate mousse, Fuck you. Thank you very much, you idiot. God, what a horrible editor. Fucking moron. Yeah, I'll show you the most exciting part, all of it, so that'll make you want to sit through an hour and a half to get to that again. No, it doesn't actually. It doesn't work like that. You literally just cliff notes. You literally just gave up the whole goddamn game, bro. Dude was trafficking 160,000 fentanyl pills and decided to go speeding down the highway and got pulled over for speeding. Dude, if you're trafficking drugs like that, why would you be breaking the law in your car? Oh my God, it's like, you're such an idiot. You are such a fucking... I can't even imagine the amount of stupidity it would take from someone to just make that decision. Yes, I've got something that's going to put me in prison for the rest of my life, so I think I'll drive over the speed limit past police officers. Because it's a whole new world, baby. We'll say they are political. It's dumb to call someone a neocon. Democrats maybe hold a primary, perhaps, possibly. We should watch this.
Ah, the news. Some more of it. Infuriating and unfair and unbalanced, un-TM, un-C, un-R. When are they going to stop with this so-called
No law regarding cannabis. Cheers, everybody.
Happening? We had news yesterday. Shucks. Anyway, I'm your loyal info wad, Cody Johnston. And today in WAD, hi. Hey, question. Should somebody primary Joe Brandon? You know, the guy who's president right now. You know the guy.
Joe
He's
Brandon.
the one that's president right now. Don't worry. I threw a ball earlier, so Warmbo won't be popping up to derail us. So, it's Joe time. And yeah, bro, primaries for the incumbent have been, for the most part, a formality. Going through the motions, like your retired parents doing hand stuff. Because it's not like it, quote, matters. Biden will get the nomination just like your parents will never actually go to that sex party they kept a flyer for. But, what if they did go to the sex party? Or rather, what if primaries actually matter? And perhaps in this episode, knowing full well that it won't have any bearing or influence on the outcome of the topic at hand, we could examine the arguments for and against actually having real primary challengers and debates against an incumbent president. Both when it comes to Biden specifically, but also in general, for all the guys and gals, even though there hasn't been a gal yet. I feel like
cheers, dear Slayer. Cheers, Chip Pickpocket Charlie. Cheers, Megsy.
Democrats maybe hold a primary, perhaps, possibly?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
okay. just like your mom did last night, because of the good sex stuff that I did, and I deserved a tip. But my hand here is that I think holding actual rigorous primaries and debates generally, and specifically for Joe Biden, is probably good and healthy for a democracy. Even though the first primary is less than a week after this episode airs, and Biden's obviously going to win the nomination, this whole question is moot. Give us a break. It's a new year, and we're getting back into the swing of things. Speaking of swing states, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, at the very least, we should probably reform our electoral system so it's not always between two guys. One who sucks, and the other who's threatening to become an authoritarian ruler hooked up to some kind of machine that keeps him alive forever. Not to mention that no one can actually agree on who is actually the authoritarian ruler, despite one of them clearly being that thing. He says it out loud a lot. He's constantly telling you that he is that thing. Anyway, there are a lot of potential reforms we could make to our elections, and have in fact already made a video about that. But in this episode, we're focusing on the primaries, the big P's. What are they? What did they used to be like? What's an open primary? What about ranked choice?
Let's do a
Who's
dab.
a superdelegate? Am I one? Where am I?
Am I a superdelegate?
Can I? And finally, how dare I?
How dare I? I said that the other day.
Primary is particularly relevant when the current president doesn't completely jive with the people they represent, even the people on their ideological side when it comes to, say, supporting a genocide in Gaza. While we'd be making this episode no matter what Biden's policies were, that's probably worth bringing up at the top of this. We're also obviously going to make a whole episode about Gaza. Also, we've been talking about it on the podcast, or, for like a long time. Did you know we have a podcast? Yeah, it seems neat. You should check it out.
They've
We
been
talk
talking about Gaza.
current events instead of past events now. Anyway, as of late last year, 66% of voters and 80% of Democrats wanted a ceasefire. So, considering that, it may have been a tad unwise for the White House press secretary to label calls for a ceasefire as wrong, repugnant, and disgraceful.
Well, there are some members of Congress who have called for a ceasefire, and they have not gone as far as backing the administration's call for support for Israel.
So look, I've seen some of those statements this weekend, and we're going to continue to be very clear. We believe they're wrong, we believe they're repugnant, and we believe they're disgraceful.
I'm not a political expert, despite my smell, but it seems like possibly a miscalculation to alienate your own base like this. Like beyond the clear ethical issues with framing anyone sympathetic to Palestinians as repugnant, that attitude might, for instance, make Arab Americans less likely to vote for you in swing state Michigan, where they represent a huge population of voters. Speaking of polls, yikes! Have you seen them? They aren't great for Mr. B. According to a poll conducted by the New York Times and Siena College, Biden is behind Trump in 5 out of 6 swing states. Obviously, this type of low polling is common for an incumbent president at this point, because they've already gone through a gauntlet of negative media attention during their term. But from the limited data we have, Biden is doing far worse than the last 3 presidents were at this same point in their first term. Again, limited data. But also, bad data if you're horny for Biden. Or perhaps you're not horny for Biden, but super not horny for Trump. For you, hypothetical non-horny human, it is perhaps frustrating to see the Democrats function so poorly considering what's
Let's
at
get
stake.
high up in this bitch, Megsy, right on.
Concerns about Biden that go beyond horniness.
Ginger
or
ale
Gaza,
sounds
or
good.
The fact that he's not polling well. For example, he's sure up there in them years, It's like, he's pushing it. In fact, 47% of registered voters strongly agree Joe Biden is just too old to be an effective president, compared to only 18% of voters when asked the same question about Donald Trump, which must be frustrating for Biden because Trump is only 4 years younger than Biden. Also, Trump is,
He said, nobody's ever asked that question. I said, if I'm going down in a boat and there's a shark 10 yards away or I'm going to get electrocuted, could that happen? He said it could. I said, well, you know what? If it's true, I think I'll take the electrocution because I'm not going near that shark. But they're talking about things like that. These people are crazy.
Okay, to be fair, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You disagree? Leave in the comment why you disagree. Seems reasonable. Okay, look, I don't want to be religious, but we do have to acknowledge the human condition of being mornings. it seems reasonable to list, is my candidate going to, make it among your concerns?
Is my candidate going to make it through his term?
From the office of the presidency.
Is he going to die on a staircase running up into a plane?
Some voices and leaders.
Because it's so important that you run up a fucking flight of stairs for a plane that's literally has to wait for you. You know?
He and his team signaled.
The whole reason that plane is there is for you. You're going to run up those stairs, you idiot.
Pass it off to the newer generation.
Thank you so much.
And now I guess he's
take care. Nice meeting you.
Again specifically because Trump is running. Because of course Trump is running, right? Just right now, the Democrats' only backup seems to be Kamala Harris. And are people excited for her? I don't really know, but I know one way to find out: a primary, or rather, an actual primary. After all, I know technically there is a Democratic primary, but counterpoint. Is there? As of filming this, Marianne Williamson is the biggest challenger to Biden, and her run is met with what could be interpreted as either dismissal or outright derision by liberal outlets like Politico.
33-30.
Marianne Williamson is polling at 9%.
33-30.
Is she for real? And copies such as, Marianne Williamson doesn't care that almost no one takes her seriously. I'm not saying we have to specifically take Marianne Williamson seriously, but there's an underlying idea here that any primary challenger is silly if their polling isn't high enough, or their chance of actually posing a challenge is low. It's as if there's no value to a primary process unless someone can actually beat Biden. But we're also not giving anybody a chance to try. The DNC is not sanctioning any debates against Biden. This isn't unique to the DNC. Neither party has had its incumbent president debate during primaries since 1948. That's why, while we're focusing on Biden and the Dems, this is actually
no longer going to cannabis. Cheers, everybody.
Because perhaps you're not affiliated with any political party and are simply frustrated at the entire process. Or heck, perhaps you're a Republican and are frustrated that you're stuck with the smelly shark guy. There are just so many reasons to be bummed about the next election. The last guy versus the previous last guy's vice president. Exciting stuff. We're really doing a fucking rematch between these old goats. And all of that would be at least mitigated by a stronger primary system, in my bearded opinion. And I know Joe Biden isn't at Reagan levels of brain mush. He can get through speeches. Sometimes he can't quite. But he'd already lost a bit of a step or two in 2020. And wouldn't it be nice to dust the old cobwebs off, see how he debates, see how he is in conversation with people challenging him on the ideas he believes in?
Yes.
President stuff.
Yes.
And so after our first break, we're going to take you through the history. Where did primaries come from?
Give me a 1 in the chat if you think I should get another cup of coffee.
To the death? Probably. Right? Probably to the death. Okay, but first, get all up inside of these ads. Hello there, pants enthusiasts, or haters. It's me, Cody, here to be fair and balanced about pants. In a way, I'm the ground news of pants, which is a very strange way to tell you that ground news is an online tool for seeing how any given news story is covered from a wide range of media outlets. For example, House Democrat Dean Phillips announced that he was going to challenge Biden in the primaries. On ground news, I can see that 138 sources are reporting on this. They also give you a political bias rating for the various outlets. These ratings are based on analysis from 3 different news monitoring organizations, including editorial reviews, blind bias surveys, and third-party research. It's not a perfect science, but they do give you a general idea of how the media landscape is covering this topic. Scrolling down, you can see all the articles written about this and compare headlines to see what details are emphasized or exaggerated or left out, depending on the political leaning of the source. For example, both the left-leaning and right-leaning sources go after Phillips for different reasons. Except this one article that appears to be focused on his wife for some reason. That's weird. Anyway, pants. We love them. Or do we? Yes. And so you can see what a useful tool ground news can be, especially with the upcoming election that will hopefully include some light pants talk if we're lucky, which we rarely are. Go to https://ground.news/SMN to get some more news from every
Okay, it's time to get more coffee. That's
Subscribe
what
to the Pro
y'all.
plan for less
That's
than
what
$1
y'all
a month,
dictated.
or get 30% off the
It's
Vantage
time.
subscription this
It's
month.
time for the
Further.
coffee. Karen McDonald, 1730.
You like those tasty little ads? Yeah, you did. I'm not even gonna wait for you to answer. You loved them. You gulped those ads down like a seagull. It's disgusting. What a bloodbath. Okay, so it's time to talk about where primaries came from, as in the act of voters picking who their presidential candidates should be, or rather, each party awarding a series of representatives or delegates to a candidate based on how many votes they get, or in a few states, the result of a caucus, which is like a primary if less people were allowed to vote for some reason. It seems bad, whatever. Anyway, those delegates then get together in a big room and vote based on who they've been selected to represent. Also, sometimes Kid Rock performs. It's complicated. It's also a pretty new process. Voters selecting presidential candidates wasn't really a thing until the 20th century. Historically, presidential candidates were chosen either by political party bosses, elites selected by localities, or delegates. Also, that one year when they got horses drunk and wrote the names on apples, which, weirdly enough, is how we got Calvin Coolidge. That's why they call him, and only him, the Big Apple. Anyway, this kind of backroom politics could get a little kinky, like your parents, with delegates being unable to agree on a candidate and deadlocking, resulting in weird compromise candidates like James K. Polk in 1844. Look at that freak. Disgusting. Go be in a They Might Be Giants song, you disgusting freak. In the 1900s, progressives wanted to reform the political process to make it more transparent and democratic. But, as is the custom, this process was a patchwork of states slowly deciding to change the electoral system on their own terms. The first state to allow voters to select who they wanted to be their candidate was hippy-dippy Oregon in 1910. And in 1912, Teddy Roosevelt, former president, tried to get in on that Democratic primary action. Democratic, small d, he was a Republican. He primaried incumbent Taft and won 9 of the primary states. However, only 42% of states were decided by the popular vote in the primary, whereas the others were chosen by, you guessed it, party bosses. So Taft won the primary. Roosevelt started his progressive or Bull Moose Party. Odd that what was then called a Republican started a new party called the Progressive Party. Is there something that happened, like, politically with the parties? There's no need to look into that. But the election continued. Roosevelt and Taft both lost, along with the then Socialist Party's Eugene Debs, leading to a Woodrow Wilson victory. Now, one could argue that Roosevelt's third-party run split the vote and helped Wilson win. One could also argue that Roosevelt's move here led to further democratic approaches to the primary system. Although, while more states followed, primaries were still more like loose suggestions than deciding factors. For example, the 1952 race between Republican Dwight Eisenhower and Adlai Stevenson, aka a Democrat you have never heard of because he lost, despite not running in any of these state primaries, Stevenson still won the nomination at the primary convention, supposedly because he gave a good speech. While Eisenhower also didn't win the popular primary vote, he at least was in the running and polled well, which probably explains why he won with 83% of the electoral vote and 54% of the popular. Gee, maybe there's something to these primaries. Later, in 1968, Lyndon B. Johnson backed out of a second term, both over his health and likely his understanding that the Vietnam War was a horrific boondoggle. LBJ is an interesting example of how the American government's imagination is seldom capable of thinking outside the war box. He went into a deeply unpopular war despite his misgivings about it being a quagmire. The war was advertised as a way to help allies, but was in truth done mostly to, quote, contain China. It was full of heinous war crimes committed by U.S. troops and remains a scar on the soul of America that I'm sure has no relevance to today. Anywho, because Johnson backed out, Democratic Party leaders had to come up with a candidate to oppose Nixon. At the time, the party was divided between the anti-war progressives and the pro-war establishment. Still not seeing any relevance to today. But anyway, faced with, let's call it, chaotic primary, Democratic Party leaders were forced to ignore voters and nominate LBJ's vice president, Hubert Humphrey. Or as we know him, Hubert Humphrey? You get it? Because we don't really know about him. He lost the election. Again, just to be clear, this was a weird primary. The popular Democratic candidate was Robert F. Kennedy, and well, you can bing how well his run went. It went bad. So they needed a last-minute replacement. However, because Hubert didn't even enter any primary elections and was simply handpicked by the establishment, Democratic voters were pissed, which led to the 68 DNC mass protests, which led to reforms that required states to have official procedures for electing delegates who promised to select a candidate, rather than party leaders being able to pick whom they wanted at the convention. Jimmy Carter was elected as the nominee under these new rules in 1976 and won the presidency. But after he lost in a landslide to Reagan 4 years later, Democratic leaders thought that the lesson was that giving voters more power was bad. Never mind, of course, all the candidates that had lost after being handpicked in undemocratic selections by party leaders. It's weird how losses are only the fault of progressives or the people, and wins are credited to not that. As a response, superdelegates were created to override some of the power of the popular vote. Superdelegates are party leaders who, before 2018, got to vote for whichever primary candidate they would like, regardless of how their state's popular vote went. A recent example would be the 2016 Democratic primary election, in which Hillary Clinton won against Bernie Sanders. I don't know if you remember this, since that was like 20 years ago or something, but voters were upset over the DNC seeming to be rigged in Clinton's favor. This is not without reason. Former DNC chairwoman Donna Brazile revealed that the Clinton campaign had outsized influence over the DNC by controlling their finances. In Brazile's book, Hacks, she claims, quote, the agreement signed by Amy Dacey, the former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook with a copy to Mark Elias specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. So, the fact that the superdelegates in 2016 clinched the nomination for Clinton made Bernie voters a little upset.
Yeah.
I say, with no personal knowledge of how that might feel. I'm just reading blank pages.
Right.
After mass outrage against...
In other words, what he's saying is he was like me. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. So, when that happened, I still had faith in politics. Until I watched the trajectory of AOC. I was still giving hope with the squad. And I watched the trajectory of AOC, and I was like, I'm done. I'm never supporting another politician
The
again.
superdelegate system by Sanders supporters, the DNC finally revised the superdelegate system in 2018, barring them from voting in the first ballot of the primary process. Also, I think something happened in 2017 that perhaps made them think twice. Something to do with the pattern of ignoring the wishes of the voters coinciding with embarrassing losses for Democrats. I think, but again, I was reading the blank paper. Anyway, this means that superdelegates would only be able to vote in contested primaries. Interestingly, the RNC had already curtailed superdelegate powers by the 2016 primary. By this point, there were fewer RNC superdelegates, and they were obligated to vote for whom their state had voted for. Seems like a way better system, and it's kind of embarrassing that the GOP did it first. Of course, despite that, they've amazingly managed to screw up their system by having an additional winner-takes-all rule where the candidate who gets the majority vote automatically wins every delegate in many states. Compare that to Democrats who give delegates proportionally to the percentages of their votes. In other words, everyone has found a fun and unique way to suck. Not to mention that the states themselves are free to decide how the primaries will go. For example, voter ID rules, or whether or not felons can vote, are left to the states and therefore can be manipulated. And that's all on top of the fact that the primary process is still subject to the influence of money and power. There's the invisible primary theory, which posits that, on both sides, high-profile members and party insiders are able to gather behind their preferred candidate early on, empowering them with donations, connections, and volunteers to help them win the nomination. Between 1980 and 2004, early party endorsements were able to predict 8 out of
It's so
10
hard not to
winners
drink
in
it all when it's
presidential
super hot
primary
like this.
contests. One could argue this is due to the party insiders and voters independently coming to the same
it's good.
conclusion over who is the best choice, which is kind of an adorable thing to believe. So, from these examples, it seems like ignoring the primaries results, or not having them at all, can tend to backfire for the party. But this is also anecdotal. So we're going to dig into the data, as well as talk about the next election. But first, I need money, so I can live and eat snacks, video games, gas, you get it, the stuff we need. So, hey, look over here, it's Cody! Welcome back. I hope you're doing well. I'm fine, if you even care. If you recall, we were just talking about the history of primaries, or rather the history of politicians ignoring primaries and losing elections because of it. That brings us to now. Also, now! And currently, the DNC isn't planning a debate for the Democratic primary. But to be fair, that's not the same as ignoring primary results. It's also following the tradition of no incumbent president participating in a primary debate in the modern era. There will technically be a vote, but Biden is the presumptive nominee. Why? Because, as I already mentioned, there are no challengers beyond those with very little support. Currently, Biden is facing down Democratic nominees Marianne Williamson, polling at 12% of the vote, and Dean Phillips, polling at 4% of the prospective vote. Here's Phillips at a recent people-less event that he wanted people to be at. Dean. This is technically a primary, but one with no challengers who seem to pose a threat. You could argue that the low polling reflects the will of the voters, but that's assuming that those low numbers wouldn't grow for those candidates if they actually got to debate, and that other contenders wouldn't emerge if we actually took incumbent primaries seriously. Because currently, anyone who wants to challenge Biden is seen as being a rogue agent opposing the DNC, and would risk upsetting the establishment as well as their donors. Big-name politicians don't want to become a political black sheep, and thus there are no serious challengers to Biden. But if having robust primaries against incumbents were a matter of routine, and challengers were simply seen as going along with a normal process, you might actually see a stronger field of candidates. Of course, that would depend on what kind of primaries we want to have. For starters, do we want to have open or closed primaries? An open primary is one that allows everyone, regardless of party affiliation, to participate in the primary election. This is not unlike your parents' open marriage, and it would, in theory, allow candidates who have a wide cross-party appeal to be elected, and to reduce the chance of people having to vote along party lines for the lesser of two evils in the general election. Also, as of 2014, 40% of the electorate were independent voters. Closed primaries meant a sizable chunk of voters aren't able to participate in primaries. States with open primaries have a roughly 10% greater voter turnout than those with closed primaries,
next year.
according to University
When's the
of
election?
Florida
November,
political science
yeah.
professor Michael McDonald.
Then the
and so this could be
the president is January 20th, when the president becomes the president of the United States becomes takes over the other one.
Due to independent voter turnout in the primaries. There's also the option of allowing independents to vote in primaries by simply selecting which party's primary they'd like to vote in that year, or through same-day party switch voter registration. It seems like a good idea, which is probably why a bunch of states are trying to do it right now. Open those primaries! Get kinky with it! Now, the obvious concern about open primaries is rat f***ing. For our European viewers, or another continent, here in America, we call dirty political schemes and chicanery rat f***ing, a word with potential origins from Charles Entertainment Cheese, who is both a sexual icon and known for ruthless, break-your-kneecaps politics. So if primaries are open, voters of one party could try to sabotage, or as we say in Americano, rat fuck, the other party, by voting in someone they think would be unelectable in the general election. That said, there's a potential way to protect against rat fucking through ranked choice voting. We've talked about this in the past, but basically, ranked choice is exactly what it sounds like. Voters rank the candidates by favorability. If somebody wins more than 50% of the number one slot, we go with them. But if nobody gets a majority, we then tally some of the second choices and so on. And we are being reductive, and it's complicated, and it varies from state to state, but the immediate benefit is that you never have to feel bad about voting for a third party because it won't hurt your second choice. It also mitigates the f***ing of rats. This is actually happening in some states, by the way. Alaska just had a ranked choice open primary, and a Democrat took over the historically Republican House seat. So, naturally, Alaskan Republicans are looking to restrict open primaries and ranked choice, because that's what sad losers do. Fun coincidence, the GOP seems generally opposed to ranked choice. I wonder what that's about.
Wow.
So there are reforms to make primaries more effective and fair. But what if...
So for those of you who don't understand what ranked choice voting is, it's something Ron Placone has been promoting for years. And what it means is when you fill out a ballot, you put the one as number one that you want to win, and then you have a second slot for if that one doesn't win, who would you want to be your next choice, and so on, and you put them in order. And it's a more I think it's a more accurate representation of what people want, you know.
This current primary. There's a notion that a primary challenge to an incumbent would weaken them in the general election, but there's limited data on if that's true. There are only a few
the junkie robot drummer
examples of actual prominent primary challengers giving the incumbent a run for their money, including primary
Everyone's
challenger
gonna bitch
Ronald
about politics
Reagan,
all year.
competing with Gerald Ford in 1976, Ted Kennedy winning primaries in several states against Jimmy Carter.
Tool is all like, when's it gonna be over? I just want to know when all this shit's gonna be over.
In 1980, and Pat Buchanan challenging Bush in 1992. Not that, the other guy. Obviously, 1992, get it together. All three incumbents lost their re-election, so one could argue the primary challenger hurt their re-election chances. Or maybe they were just, you know, unpopular. Perhaps this is one of those correlation versus causation dillies. Again, there's not much research about this. However, a 1998 paper in the American Journal of Political Science found basically no effect of primary divisiveness on the outcomes of general presidential elections. More recently, however, University of Chicago researcher Alexander Fornés found mixed results of divisive primaries on general elections outcomes. Not exclusively primarying the incumbent, mind you. Specifically, that while divisive primaries are good for the party on a state level, they're bad on a federal level, as in presidential elections. Start with the results at the federal level, we find that it on average harms the party in the general election. We observe a drop in the vote share of 6 to 9 percentage points, so it's quite a substantial harm to the party potentially. These researchers make a lot of effort to avoid speculating about why that is. Fornés suggests that state-level elections are less publicized, so giving more attention to it through longer primaries actually motivates people to vote for their party. They also point out that it might be due to campaign financing, meaning that if a presidential candidate has to spend a lot of effort on the primaries, it might drain their funding for the general election. They point out that primary debates can be both good and bad. After all, it's a chance for a candidate to shine just as much as it is for them to fail. So it's wrong to say that primaries broadly hurt the reputation of the candidate. And again, this is all correlation versus causation, right? Maybe a divisive primary is a sign that the main candidate is just,
I'm Bernie Sanders.
bad.
Excuse me, I've got
Primary
something to say.
might
Hillary,
be more
excuse
of a
me.
symptom of a struggling campaign
Excuse me,
as
Hillary.
opposed to a cause. And ultimately, we'd know more about the data if primaries were just a regular thing that we did. And that brings us back to the question of the episode. Should we have an actual primary? Let me check. It's blank, but yes. Yeah. The answer is always yes. In fact, all of the data I just gave you is completely irrelevant to the answer.
The most money.
No matter what, we should have an official primary, including debates and campaigns every time, especially for incumbent presidents, and especially for Democrats, and especially when one of the candidates is saying shit like this.
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's not retribution.
I'm gonna be, you know, he keeps I love this guy. He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, no, no. Other than day one."
It's easy to watch that clip and think that we have to defeat that man at all costs. I'm doing it right now. All costs. But it's important to remember that when the GOP is drifting further and further away from democracy, the response can't be for the Democrats to do the same. After all, their entire shtick is that they are the party of democracy. It's right there in the name. Whereas the GOP is labeled as authoritarian while actively attacking the voting process. Which is why I think Democrats should embrace being the pro-democracy party. And to do that, they should make their own primary processes more democratic. Prove that the Democratic Party is serious about countering the Republican threats to democracy by making pro-democracy reforms within their own party.
Cody's
They've
making
already
some sense,
started.
baby.
For example, neutering superdelegates after the 2016
So
fiasco.
Cody's calling out the Democrats for not being political and not following protocol. And he makes an excellent point. And all of you should watch some more news. Cody Johnston? There's a T there? That's weird. Never noticed that before. Anyway, Cody Johnston, I guess. On Mandela Effect. I guess you should watch some more news on YouTube. At least he found Goodwill's coat section. I know, right? It's his That's his shtick. But anyway, that's his shtick. It's a clown costume. I like it. What a stickler. Hey, Mom. It's got like a... Bitcoin has like a W double bottom. So the double bottom formed, it went up. Formed another double bottom. They look like vampire teeth. Because people are buying, they're sucking people's money as they buy more crypto. And then it went up and formed a head and shoulders, which generally means a drop. It might be double that. So it just depends on the large scale if we've got the trend on our side. So let's just take a look at it, shall we? On the 24-hour, okay, this is our 24-hour. Oh boy, you know, we spent the whole last 24 hours basically in the green. And if we're not in a rising bull market, we might not be right now. No, we're not really in a rising bull market at this time. Wait, let's watch it over the 7 days. Yeah, see that? We're not in a rising bull market. we dropped down, and we've stayed down for 7 days. Right? So Carl the Moon says we're going down. He's thinking the 31 is going to happen now. I could totally see that happening. So everybody hold on, or if you really want to cash out or whatever, you can repurchase at 31. But remember, you got to pay fees when you pull your Bitcoin out, and when you buy more, it costs you fees. So you're getting rid of all of the accrued value that you might make if you just leave it in there when you do that. So leave your money in and let it drop down to 31, and then buy more when it hits 31 if it's going to go down there. Let's go back to our day chart, and we've got a redrawing of this. Shows us 2 double bottoms and a spike upwards to 600. It's a different perspective than what we were looking at before, right? But it's also showing a falling pattern that fell down underneath the wedge. And now we might start forming what looks like is going to be a pennant pattern off of that flagpole we just made. So if it's a falling pennant pattern, that would be fine. It's just going to have to give it time right now and see what it does. Let's look at the volume is down. So the volume's down on that. Looks like a giant head and shoulders pattern formed on the 24-hour, and then it went up because there were double bottoms in between that head and shoulders pattern. So this is where the patterns just completely defy each other. What we've got overall because of that is basically a big double bottom. This is like 1 bottom, 2 bottoms, which just has little V's in the middle, but it's got this big peak in the center, and it forms a giant W. So on the 24-hour, there's a giant W that formed. I think. Hey, Trendy Orca Sean, what's up, buddy? Now it's check marking downwards. Had to drop my vehicle off today because of I believe the radiator is going to have to be replaced. God bless America. Alright, man. Exciting times, you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the 2-hour video. I'm feeling much better. But I need to go lay down and just take it easy. But I love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you on the next show. Remember, I'm at Nays Garden on Twitter, and I'm tweeting like crazy. Plenty of photographs, video clips, and everything there. Bye, guys.